Ladies and gentlemen, on this channel, when Magnus Carlsen plays a game of chess, you best believe it will be broadcasted and explained to all of you. Frankly speaking, not just play a game of chess, like take a walk, eat a meal, breathe, etc. However, in this video, I'm sharing a game with you that most of you probably did not know happened. This was like a secret, sneaky little thing that he went off to do, gained a little bit of rating for, but it was a very crazy game, and I'd like to share it with all of you. So this video is for the non-diehard chess fans. The diehard chess fans know that every year Magnus plays in the Norwegian League. He plays for a team called Offerspiel. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and it's just like a team event in Norway. But most of you didn't know that, and if I didn't cover this, you definitely wouldn't have known that it happened. So we're going to look at a game against a 2400 rated player, also from Norway. Magnus playing, of course, for his club. And what I like about games like this is that, you know, Magnus is always looking for a very uncompromising game. He's not going to play a lot of well-known openings against players that are lower rated than him. And the person playing with black is nearly 100 rating points higher than me, which means the person with black is probably like 2,200 points higher than most of you. And joking aside, there is still something to learn from the game. So let's see how Magnus beats a top 1,500 or top 2,000 player in the world by ranking. He plays c4. All right, we go for an English. The opponent plays c5. The symmetrical. So Magnus playing a an English, and black decided that the best way to go was to mirror. We have g3, and black plays knight f6. This is actually what I play with white. I like to break the symmetry by putting my bishop here, and then you kind of see what black is going to do. Black could have, on the second move, played pure symmetry. Bishop g2, bishop g7, knight c3, knight c6, knight f3, knight f6. Like, this is a real thing. It's very annoying, actually. But the person playing with black, whose name I, imagine is pronounced something like Frode Elsnes. I have no idea. I don't know, but Viking name. I mean, even Magnus's name is not Magnus, it's Magnus. But I can't talk like that. I would look silly. The opponent strikes in the center right away. This is very principled play. After white takes, black will replace the pawn with the knight. This is exactly what happens. And from here, generally, the game proceeds like this. White targets the knight. Black moves it out of the middle. And then plays knight c6, puts two pawns in the center, or white goes here. Black goes here, and then, the game proceeds. What generally doesn't happen is what Magnus plays on the fifth move of the game, sending the game to very unique territory already. He plays the immediate move pawn to d4. The reason this move is not played as much as other moves is that it's actually, a little bit better to go here potentially, or to target the knight immediately, and then and only then play the move d4, at which point you would be trading the knight into the middle, and when the queen arrives, it can't be attacked by this knight, because you would have traded it. Well, in this game, we have pawn takes, queen takes, all of this makes sense, but now black will very easily develop the knight with an attack on the queen, provided that they first defend this knight. Here, the best move for black is the move e6. It doesn't look very good because you block your light-squared bishop, but it is very good because then you play this with a free move, then you move your bishop, then you castle, and slowly you get this bishop out. Black plays an overly creative move, in my opinion, but still a completely reasonable move, bishop e6. Why do I say overly creative? Well, you didn't want to block in your bishop, but now you're going to have to move these pieces again. Like, you're not going to be able to develop this bishop very easily at all. You're going to have to move this bishop, then move this pawn. So Magnus plays knight f3, and I think the idea here was just simply to play a position where both sides have to think. Knight to c6. Now, at this point, white has a very interesting choice. Do you move your queen all the way here? Do you move your queen all the way here? Do you move your queen all the way back? Do you move your queen into the center of the board? Everything is possible, which is kind of why Magnus went for this to begin with. Another option is to move the queen to a... Well, it's not another option. The idea would be to move the queen into the knight attack and then move it somewhere else. The computer likes this. It thinks this is the best move. It thinks that because after the knight retreats to f6, it wants to then move the queen, and this bishop is stuck. If white plays bishop f5, you very quickly apply maximum pressure to this knight, and you have a totally winning position. So the computer really, really, really wants to put the queen here first. Magnus instead goes this way, so that when the knight retreats, he then moves the queen to the other side, and that knight can't teleport and keep attacking the queen because that's illegal. In fact, it would be really impressive to get this knight here at all. Like, try to do that. It's not simple. You would have to go 1, 2, maybe 3, but you'd have to walk through a lot of fire to get there, and that's the fastest. And other than that, it's like 6 moves. So this was the idea. He puts the knights over here. He rotates the queen because he kind of anticipated, Magnus here anticipated, that black will probably castle this way. And so, you know, it's good to have the pieces ready to go and attack. Black plays bishop f5. That's what I said. Overly creative solution. White plays knight c3, right? And now black plays the move e5. So the game is already heating up. Why is it heating up? Well, the queens are seeing each other, and the queen is not going to move again because it actually can't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares are all covered by black. But Magnus isn't going to trade queens. He plays bishop g5, attacking the queen, countering. The pawn goes to f6. He baited this move. And now, you know, black kind of weakened the king. That's what we say, because you move the pawn where the king is. The diagonal is open. You shouldn't check the king here because your bishop is still under attack. And then black would just go here, and you would lose material. So instead of that, what we do is we move the bishop back. But first, we play rook d1. So Magnus develops his queen side. He attacks the queen, and then he attacks the queen again. And the best move here for black is the super uncompromising knight to d4, an epic move, just jumping directly in the center of the board, looking to give this check maybe while the king is still in the middle. The best line here would be bishop c1, knight c2 check, king f1 protected over here. So the queen would move, and then white would proceed to play h3, g4, and slowly walk the king over here. I mean, this is ridiculous. What are we even looking at? So rook d1, instead the queen goes to e7, and Magnus plays bishop e3. So very creative game. We can already see that. Just look at the opening. White's queen comes out on the 5th move, 6th move. Then the queen jumps around, first to a4, then to h4. Like, I mean, we're running, we're running sprints in the gym, you know, touching one side and running back the other way, right? And then a couple moves later, we develop a piece, we develop another piece with the tempo, and then we bring this piece back. And my guy Frode, because that's just how I think you say his name. I hope it's not like Frode. I hope like the E just doesn't, you know, Frode. Yeah, at this point, Frode's like, I'm playing Magnus. Like, I might as well have fun. I don't want to make it boring. G5. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. G5. Punishing the queen for being here. Queen can't go anywhere. The queen has to come forward. Queen's going to go to h5 check. And then the queen's going to come here. And Frode is going to get the queens off the board. He's going to get one of Magnus's most important pieces off the board. He's going to take some space. So G5 is an excellent move. I wonder why Frode spent almost 20 minutes coming up with the courage to play a move like this. Well, it's because of what Magnus does next. He sacrifices the knight. I urge someone watching this, go find the last time Magnus played somebody 400 points lower than him, or more, and sacrificed material this early in the game. I mean, seriously, bro is having fun. He sacrifices a knight. He wins back a second pawn, so he gets 2 pawns for the knight. He's down material, but what happens now is black's king is in the center forever. So the black king lost the d pawn, the e pawn is up here, the f pawn and the g pawn are gone, the black king and the c pawn's gone. These 5 pawns are all gone, so the lines to the king are all cleared out. The queen should go to f7 apparently, but instead he goes to b4, very natural move, looking to trade the queen, because without the queen, white is not going to be able to attack. White sacrificed material, therefore, the compensation for that is that you need to keep your most powerful piece on the board. Magnus plays bishop to e4, all right? Now he spends all his time back. respecting the opponent. He could have went queen h5 and then maybe queen h3 and tried to get out of the way of the bishop, but instead he goes bishop e4, offering a trade of yet another piece. Wait a minute. Not just yet another piece. He can't take this with the knight because he's pinned. So if he trades the queen, is Magnus just losing to a 2400 rated player? No. The idea of bishop to e4 was that on this move and this move only, you play what's called a Zwischenzug. Two Norwegians met to play in the Norway Elitserien or something, whatever it's called. And now you throw in a German word, pawn to a3, a very, very important move. Just taking a little time out, threatening the queen. The rook is hanging, but the queen's hanging. That's more important. Actually, if you take the rook, how's this for a tactic? Queen h5 is mate in 1. I bet you didn't see that. That's just straight up mate. The king has no protection. 0. Crazy. a3. Queen's hanging. Queen needs to guard the bishop. Queen also needs to keep pinning the knight, so it goes here. Otherwise, white would go here and get a knight to f6, and the game would be over. This is not mate because the bishop comes back. Now the queen takes, and we don't trade. So for this very moment, Magnus is still a point down to the 2400 rated player, but as you can see, black has no coverage whatsoever, and the queen has been stranded on the outskirts of the board, much like this queen was, but suddenly that queen has been pushed in that direction. Black now plays the move bishop e7. Apparently, bishop e7 is a terrible move, apparently, if white is stockfish. If white is stockfish, you know why? Apparently you can just take the sucker. You just take the bishop, which doesn't look like it makes sense. Like, why would you do this? You don't have any, you have nothing now. Where's your attack? You only have a queen. Apparently this position is +5. +5, completely winning. I don't really know how. Like, if black plays rook d8, apparently you can just, like, give a check. The king goes somewhere, like here, and then you play b4, and what's the idea? Knight e4. Apparently black is just lost. Cannot defend against the queen and the knight together. Just can't defend against them. The queen gets stranded on the outskirts, and there's nothing. Here's the problem. If you see this in your head, but you don't see the defensive resource for black, and there is one, you're cooked. Like, you're definitely going to lose. But you are winning here with white. You have queen f6, and then you have queen h8. Like, no matter what happens, you're going to win material here. You're going to probably take the rook, etc. So the position is completely winning for Magnus if he takes the bishop and correctly evaluates that he's just totally crushing. He doesn't. He spends only 6 minutes and prevents the black king from castling. So black can now not castle in either direction. Magnus is keeping the king here, but we go from +5 to 0.3. Crazy, which is quite shocking. Like this, you would think like you take, and I don't know, maybe he just, yeah, this is just a totally winning position. Everything wins here for white, apparently. Like every attacking mechanism is good, but you have to know that. He goes here, and now queen c5 bringing the queen back, or queen a6 looking for queen c4 are both good. That's not the best move. The best move here for black was to bring the queen back and try to put it on c4 to try to trade the queen. Magnus here would have played queen f5, threatening mate again, and black would have went here, getting there in time. So the winning move here after queen c4 would have been knight b5. Look at this move, looking for knight c7 mate. And the only defensive move here you can't take because you have to protect this checkmate would have been rook c8. And then the best move here for white would have been b3, sacrificing 2 things, trying to deflect the queen away, and then you castle. Obviously, how did you idiots not see that? Black's only move now would have been rook g8? And if you take, the queen comes back to f7, which means you have to play knight d6, bishop takes, rook takes, knight e7, queen e5, and this is the position that we have to work with, but it's equal because even though black is up material, he's down 2 pawns, and his king is terrible. Now you might be watching all this going, wait a second, did this happen or not? No, it didn't happen. In the game, after messing up the advantage, black went knight d7, trying to shield the king and castle it, instead of entering the sequence, queen c5, etc. But how about this for wicked? Knight b5 just mates on both sides of the board. Like, this is just a masterclass in keeping the king in the center. It's just mind-blowing, okay? Black goes knight d7. Magnus now castles, and black also castles, and we begin the next phase of the game, which is, okay, calm down. Both guys castled. I'm no longer going to mate my opponent. Who is better here and why? How do you evaluate in chess who has a better position? Number one, material. Black actually has more material. Number two, king safety. I would argue white's king is safer because I have absolutely zero clue how black is going to attack it, and that is generally how you determine those things. Number three is piece activity and, you know, future prospects of the pieces and how well coordinated they are. These guys, I get it. Like, I see a lot more ways that white can potentially cause problems, and that's the last one, which is pawn play, space. Yeah, I really like that white actually just has a very clear plan of attack. Black has no pawns. That's a very weird thing to battle with. And so now Magnus has to think, okay, knight d5, maybe bishop back to e3, maybe b4. Magnus plays knight d5. It's a very, very natural move. And for the record, where did Frod's time go? Like, he had 45 minutes, and before you know it, he goes down to 25, 14, 11. So he has 11 minutes for the rest of this game, which is not going to be easy. Magnus goes knight d5, king b8. We got 8 minutes on the clock, trying to get the king out of the way. The best move here would have been to activate the knight rather than try to safeguard the king. You needed to activate the knight because not only does this activate the knight, it actually activates the rook. And in chess, generally speaking, if you can activate two moves at once, two pieces at once, it's going to be the best. He goes here, and now the winning idea for white is to grab the bishop and keep applying pressure. And yeah, you give Magnus 2 chances in a game. You know, this time he takes the bishop, and this is a problem. There was a lot of pressure here on black, on the knight, on the rook, on this knight, on this pawn. But how do you actually win this position? Like, how do you win? First of all, this is hanging. That's just always there. And at this point, you pump the brakes on what's been going on in this game. You're not looking for mate anymore. You're looking for a clean cut, clean transition to the endgame. So we go queen h4. Why do we play queen h4? Because we attack the knight. The only way to defend the knight would be to play queen c5, but queen c5 loses to b4. It loses to b4. You can't defend the knight. So the only thing to do is to move the knight and to lose the rook. Which Magnus doesn't even take. He plays the move pawn to e3. He plays the move pawn to e3, stopping the knight from coming forward. This knight can't come forward because of b4 and d8 hanging. This is such a demoralizing move. Your time starts ticking with black. It's 30 minutes to 3:49. You knew when you sat down you were going to lose, all right? I mean, like, nobody can judge you for that. But now you're like, yo, I can't lose like this. It's only been 25 moves. I got to put up some sort of fight. Like, what do I do? E4 is a nice idea to try to bring both knights in and maybe put the pawn on knight f3. Another nice idea, knight to f8. Just saying, hey, Magnus, just take my rook, dude. Take my rook. I'm offering it to you because then you don't have a bishop anymore and I get 2 knights remaining. Magnus says, all right, fine. Knight takes d8. If rook takes d8, we would trade that as well. And then we could even trade the queens, but we might not. All right, we got to get the right transition. So bishop d8, knight d8. Now Magnus has this position, 29 minutes on the clock. How are we going to win this? We can't take this pawn. You know, I want both rooks in the game. Maybe rook d3, maybe rook d6. Okay, fine. Queen h5, targeting the rook, targeting the pawn, targeting this pawn. Black goes rook e7, slightly destabilizing the position. We have rook d6, trying to double up the rooks. Black drops the queen back, and now we double up, and the knight goes to f7. We still look pretty far from a decisive punch. We can't go here. We can't go here. We can't win either of the pawns. So Magnus puts the rook in f6. What's the threat? I don't see a threat. But with 1 minute and 53 on the clock against Magnus, there's a very good chance you simply blunder. But black plays a6. Solid move, just moving a pawn. Apparently that move is terrible. Never mind, not solid whatsoever. You needed to go queen c4, apparently. a6. Magnus, b4. Simple improving move. The idea being that in the future, we would like to open up the king. Obviously, the king is right here, and black is really stuck. And the only move now is queen c4. Again, apparently, I don't understand it. Queen c4, queen f5. The computer then wants to move the king into the middle. I mean, whatever. The computer's cheating. Instead of that, black goes knight g6. And I guess the clocks broke here. I don't know what happened, but knight g6, Time Lord Frode Elsness just like shattered the space-time continuum and no clocks functioned anymore. This is obviously a massively committal move, but it also, you know, gives up the h7 pawn. And he goes for this defensive setup, which if your knights are defending each other on f7 and h8 somehow, and you got tied into the shape of an air balloon, you know, the balloon animal, yeah, it's probably not a good sign. Magnus goes queen f5. And like I said, the cleanest transition here to a winning game is just the endgame. And these pawns are just going to go. You can't stop them. There's absolutely nothing you can do here. Black goes e4. White goes rook e6. Knight e5. And the time comes back somehow. Magnus takes, and black resigned because he would take this, we would take this, and white would have a 4-pawn material advantage. And on top of that, would simply be suffering massive material loss in a variety of ways like this. But even this position, you can't stop 4 connected pawns with 2 knights against the rook. It's just not going to work. So a very nice win for Magnus, who really outmaneuvered the opponent here. It was a very interesting opening. Very enterprising position, like knight c3, and then, you know, to bring all the pieces, very instructive how every move came with tempo. And then here, you know, black could have played it boring and solid, but you got to credit him. I mean, g5's like, even if you lose this game, it's a banger. And to force Magnus to have to sacrifice and to play kind of like, you know, a little bit like Tal, you know, a little bit like Danya, if you will, for those that are following the chess world here in late 2025. You know, this is a very nice attacking game. And to come up with bishop e4 and come up with a3 and then come up with this, and then here, you know, if he had taken and understood that he was totally winning, that would have been pretty cool. But I still loved all of this that could happen, like knight b4, double checkmate threats from both sides as the king is stuck in the center of the board. Really epic stuff, really epic win, and for his efforts, Magnus earned a whopping 0.7 rating points for beating a 2400 rated player. If he plays more in the Norwegian League, I will cover it. I couldn't understand the schedule. I checked it online. He didn't play in the other games, and I can't read Norwegian, and I tried to find stuff on the website, but I couldn't. Now you know that he played a classical game. Maybe you wouldn't otherwise. That's all I have for you today. Get out of here.